All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Welcome back, everybody, to the All Sports, All Plays Network. My name's Will Polson. Alongside with me today are Trey and Brandon. Fellas, how we doing tonight?
Doing okay, bud.
Oh,
Trey,
great games today. Oh, my gosh. I'm so excited. I'm pumped. I can't wait to talk about this. This is probably the best NFL action I've seen in a long time.
I tell you what, this week brought us a lot of games that were closer than we thought. A lot of expectation, or I should say, performances by players we may not have expected. This is definitely one hell of a week, and so let's dive right into it. Starting at the 4:00 games, we're going to bring you the 4:00 afternoon games, and then the recap of the game we're just fresh off Sunday Night Football. One amazing game, maybe game of the year candidate, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. We're going to start with Jets and Chargers. Unfortunately, Nate the Great has informed us that the Jets are officially eliminated from playoff contention. It took us 11 weeks, folks, but we finally got there. Jets fall to 0-10 as the Chargers go up 24-6 at half. They were able to hold off the Jets as they outscored the Chargers 22-10 in the second half, but I can imagine a lot of that was also garbage time points. A key performance in this game, Herbert went 37 for 49 with 366 and 3 touchdowns. Fellas, I'm going to start with you, Trey. With Burrow going down in the 1 o'clock hour, does this make Herbert the clear favorite for Rookie of the Year?
Clear favorite? No. Is he definitely in the driver's seat and it's his to lose? Definitely. I'm still not throwing Tua's name out just yet just because he had one bad performance. I still got to see a couple more games out of that. I'm still in the talk if Tua comes back and leads that team to the division title. I still think that he has a legitimate shot, but Herbert is playing out of his mind right now. I didn't expect this. Unfortunately, Taylor got injured and gave an opportunity for Herbert. And since day one, he's taken the keys from that to the car, and he just kept going and never going to let go of those keys. That dude is playing unreal right now. I just saw stuff out of Oregon when he was in Oregon. I didn't see that I'm seeing right now in the NFL. He's doing phenomenal jobs. I mean, he was 37 of 49 today for 366 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. He's the future. He definitely is the future. But right now, I wouldn't take Tua quite out of it yet. I think it's a 2-horse race, but I think Herbert is definitely ahead in that scenario right now just because Tua had an awful game today, and we'll get into that maybe a little bit later. But Herbert is in the driver's seat, especially with the last 3 perform. Even though his team's not good, the 3-7 record, but you can't deny the fact that it's not his fault they're losing these games. The defense have given up big games. I mean, big collapses in the final fourth quarters. Just like today, the Jets almost came back and won that game. So definitely Herbert's to lose at this point. Yes.
Brandon, are you along the same lines? Do you think Herbert's a clear favorite for Rookie of the Year at the moment?
Well, like Trey said, I think he's in the driver's seat. Tua might be running second, but I said not distance here, but close third is going to be Jefferson out of here in Minnesota. So, Herbert. I mean, just think though. What week did he come in? Was it like week 2? I mean, due to an injury that the training staff kind of caused. I mean, without that injury, we don't know who Herbert is besides Oregon Duck fans. I mean, so, came in, he's played really well. I mean, yeah, he's probably definitely in the driver's seat, coming around probably turn 3 going into turn 4 as the leader. So.
Yeah, I'm sure Vic is quite happy with their Oregon product. Justin Herbert's been looking phenomenal as of late. Right now, as we mentioned, Joe Burrow earlier in the 1 o'clock hour earlier, he goes down for the season with an ACL tear. That's going to be tough going forward for the Bengals. We're not going to get too much into that game, but let's just talk on it real quick while we're here. Brandon, can you kind of speak a little bit to what losing Joe Burrow does to this Bengals team? Like, can you imagine what it's like to lose who was at least up there and heavily in contention with Rookie of the Year votes? Maybe not a clear winner, but definitely had a driver's seat spot, and then goes down like that with an ACL tear. I mean, what does this kind of do for Coach Cam's Bengals?
Well, like Coach Cam says, whatever can happen will happen, But, yeah, it's a big blow because now I saw early reports that he's probably going to miss 12 months. So he's pretty much out for next year. So now they got to rethink of what they're going to do. I mean, do they go sign a decent veteran for next year, or, do they kind of stay pat? Do they draft somebody late? I mean, kind of gets the front office thinking of what they're going to do because, I mean, Burrow was playing good, had them playing decent in the playoff hunt. Possibly next year they could have been a for sure thing in the playoffs, but who knows? I mean, so, I mean, it's probably going to set them back a year or two in their development.
Yeah, I saw that they brought in not an older quarterback by any means, still young. Ryan Finley just hasn't seen too much action in the NFL to start off. But yeah, no, I think Herbert's definitely sitting in a comfortable spot right now with Rookie of the Year. I think Justin Jefferson may have a little bit of a contention if you're going to go away from the quarterback spot. Same thing if you're going to go away from the quarterback spot, you have to look at James Robinson from Jacksonville. I mean, it's based off of player performance, of course, not team performance, but the same goes for Herbert as well. He's been performing very well. Obviously, Tua's name's going to get thrown in there a lot more if the Miami Dolphins can find a way into a playoff spot. But until then, we will not know. Speaking of the Dolphins, let's get into their game a little bit. The Dolphins took on the Broncos today, and final score of 13-20 in favor of the Denver Broncos. Tua was yanked from the game in the fourth quarter after going 11 for 20 for 83 yards and a touchdown. Still has yet to throw that first career interception, so ball security is still there. But out of the 4 games that he has been in as a starter, he has only eclipsed 170 yards once. I know he had a game wherever he reached about 249, I want to say. I want to say that was I don't remember who that was against off the top of my head, but yeah, as of right now, Miami was held to 223 yards of offense for the whole entire game. Melvin Gordon, a key performer in this game, getting 15 carries, going 84 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging 5.5 per carry. Trey, I'm going to go to you. Do you think there's red flags for Tua the way that he's been performing? I know that they've already announced that they're going to go with him again next week, but some of the yard production on his passes and everything such as that, the stats aren't exactly jumping off the page at you. Are you kind of concerned about Tua early on?
Not really. The reason I'm saying that is because it's only his 4th game. He's also coming off of a major injury. You got to get this guy time to develop. I think he's a well-known game manager right now at this point of his early in his career. Once next year starts and he gets a full off season, hopefully, God forbid that we have another coronavirus where we don't have a training camp, OTA, stuff like that. Once you get him in that and have all those camps and everything like that, I think you'll see a different Tua this year, next year, just because that knee injury that he suffered in Alabama, it was almost a career ending. Just to come back from a lone defeat, great win for him. But then only him playing 4 games. Yeah, he had a horrible game today. His passing yards aren't as great, but he doesn't turn the ball over. He's kind of like an Alex Smith, I guess you can say right now. He's not turning the ball over. He's not making that big mistake, but sometimes that's hurting you as well, too, because you're afraid to take that shot downfield. That's something he's going to have to work on here in the next couple of weeks or in the offseason. But I think that Miami Dolphins rally again for Tua. I think they played a lot better with Tua. You just saw it the last 3 weeks when he was starting. The defense was playing lights out. Running backs were running harder. Offensive line were blocking for him. Just today, I don't know, some in the mile high air right now that just I don't know what's going on. Denver's just the one team I just can't figure out. They look horrible, and then all of a sudden they look like they could be in a wild card spot sometimes. But Tua Tagovailoa, no caution for me just yet. He's a rookie. He's only played 4 games. I think just they took him out just because he was playing horrible, and he also got sacked 6 times. It probably could be better for his health too because that knee injury. The offensive line probably wasn't blocking really well, and that could also be because he was holding the ball a lot longer too. That's something you just got to have to work on. But 4 games in, I'm no caution. He's a rookie. Each player develops differently, and just Tua was just coming off an injury. And I think that you just got to give him time. I think next year, if you do give him the OTAs, your training camps, full off season, I think you'll see a lot different, better quarterback in Tua.
Brandon, are you along the same line, or do you see red flags in Tua's performance so far?
No, I mean, like Trey nailed it. I mean, there's no offseason, no OTAs, so he came in pretty much, if you took the first 4 weeks out, I mean, week 2 was his first game. I mean, he's getting, connection with the team member, the wideouts, the running back. I mean, like Trey said, though, I mean, he's a game manager. He's not making mistakes. I mean, that's huge. So yeah, next year, hopefully we go back to some kind of normal. We have some OTAs, we have some mini camps, we have some preseason games. Yeah, I think the Dolphins are set right there with Tua as long as he can stay healthy.
Now, Brandon,
by the way, I looked it up. Tua's 250-yard game was against Arizona 2 weeks ago.
Arizona. There you go. I knew he had one game where he had gone over, but I just couldn't remember the opponent. But Brandon, I'm going to go back to you. This is the first game that the Dolphins have played without Myles Gaskin, their new rookie running back out of Washington. And so you saw a little bit of stagnant offense whenever we're looking at it. They only scored 13 points. Their leading rusher was their newest running back in Ahmed, who only eclipsed 43 yards on the day. How big of a toll do you think this is going to be on this Miami team?
No, it's going to take time to get used to. The running, the line is so used to blocking, for one running back. It's probably hard to say, why the running games are different, but I mean, back in the day, you always had like a speed back and then a big pounder, so I don't think it's going to be too big of a miss for them. I think as long as they're just not making turnovers, that defense is stellar. So that defense is going to carry them to the playoffs, I believe.
Trey, what do you think about the importance of Myles Gaskin in this offense for Miami?
I think Myles Gaskin is actually the heart and soul of that offense right now. Without him, without his speed, without his running ability, you saw it today. They have no offense. Yes, their defense can carry them can win them some games, but they're not going to win them a lot of games, especially in this day in NFL football with scoring way above average than what it has been in the past. Elite offenses everywhere, even the Bengals, Washington Redskins with their 3 quarterbacks, as bad as they are, they score points. I mean, they can score over 20 points. So if you're only going to get 13 points and Gaskins is in your lead running back, you just saw like there's a big drop off. I know it's only one game, but Gaskins, it was that heart and soul. He was that energy ball that got the Miami running game going and that offensive line fired up, and what made Tua a little bit, I think, as well, because he had Gaskins that he could just flip it to the side and Gaskins can make a play out of nothing, where you didn't see that today as well. So yeah, I think it's going to hurt him in the long run with Gaskins out. I mean, you saw it with the Pittsburgh Steelers when Le'Veon Bell wasn't there anymore. You just saw the drop off, and it's just something different. Yeah, and you also see it in the Dallas Cowboys when Zeke Elliott wasn't playing and Pollard. I mean, it's just totally the offensive team mentally. The offensive line just knows how to block for your lead running back, and everyone's just more energized, and some just drops off when your backup goes in for some odd reason. So yeah, it's going to hurt them. Without Gaskins, I mean, they could easily. I don't see them making the playoffs. That defense can hold up, but for how long? They got a couple big games coming up, and I don't see them holding all these teams to less than 15 points. So,
Yeah, I think today without Gaskin, it really showed that what Miami is without the run game, because it really forced the game into Tua's hands. And yes, he didn't turn the ball over. He was pretty good whenever it came to ball security and everything. But, the completions weren't exactly all there, just over 50%. The 83 yards is nothing to be excited about either on 11 completions. It definitely raises a couple of question marks without the running game, I should say. Maybe not on Tua, but definitely without the running game, whenever they don't have that to fall back on. And even in the passing game, Myles Gaskin's been amazing. He's been a great receiving back out of the backfield for Miami. It's been a great addition to the team. Let's talk about Denver for a little bit. Nathan, I saw Nate put a comment on there. He said that the Denver Broncos, we talked about how Denver looks good one week, looks bad the next. He thinks Denver will go 2-4 for the rest of the season. So far, remaining on their schedule, they have the Saints, the Bills, Panthers, Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs. I don't know, looking at that schedule, if I see 2 wins, honestly. I don't know. Maybe if it's just because of my idea of what I think the Broncos are. I mean, maybe the Panthers, but I don't know. I don't know if they can beat the Saints, the Chiefs. I don't know. The Raiders, I don't know. The Bills, I don't know. I don't know if I see 2 wins in that. But let's talk about the Broncos a little bit. Trey, I'm going to go back to you. What do you think is the identity of this team? Do you think are they a defensive team? Are they an offensive team? Like, what exactly defines the Denver Broncos? Because they've been that, like you've mentioned, that one week they look great, one week they look poor. What do you think the bread and butter of this Denver Broncos team is?
I don't think they know.
That's fair.
Saying that, it kind of reminds me of the Cleveland Browns last year. And what I mean by that is they didn't have an identity. One week they're running the ball 50,000 times, and then next week they're throwing the ball all over the place. They don't know what they are, and it's hard to say what they have because Lindsey's been out. Their star running back has been out. Gordon's been a shell of himself this year. They have a great – yeah, and Von Miller, the defense, is out. So it's hard to say. Von Miller was the anchor to that defense and made that defense what they were. I just don't think they know what they are, and it's hard. And can you really trust Drew Lock right now to throw 50 passes a game, or is he going to be another game manager? But going back to Denver, since they won that Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, they haven't had an elite quarterback, and not to Drew Lock's dismay or anything like that. They just haven't stuck long enough with anybody. And the GM or the CEO or whatever he is, John Elway, who's God up there in Denver, you would think that he would help these young quarterbacks out, and they just ship them out as long as they're not doing well. It's they want instant gratification, which they're not going to have, especially with that offense that they have. Their identity needs to be running the football against that with that defense that they have. Just like the Dallas Cowboys had it in 2000 when Dak and Zeke came in the league. Time management, man, just running the ball. Say what you want to about this air raid pass game. Running the ball is still what wins you championships. You saw it in Tennessee last year. You saw it, Henry. It wears you down. You see it this year in some Minnesota games. Delvin Cook just taking hit, and then the fourth quarter comes. You see that defense is tired. So I think their identity needs to be just sticking to the run game. They have a great running back in Lindsey, and then also Gordon. Whenever he's wherever, I don't know, he's just DUIing it, I guess. But but their identity needs to be running until they get a quarterback, whether that's Locke or somebody else in this draft. If they get a good quarterback in this draft, which I don't think, because their record, they're going to be out of the top 3, so they're not going to probably get one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. But right now, they just need to lean heavy on that defense and push that running game a little bit more instead of trying to make Drew Lock's game.
Brandon, I'll go to you. Do you think this Broncos team really has an identity, or do you think they're still trying to find it?
Yeah, the identity's up in the front office, John Elway. I mean, no, yeah, I don't know what they plan. I don't know if they got a direction. I mean, Von Miller, the offense. I mean, there's no questions. I mean, could Locke be the future? Yeah, who knows? No. I mean, probably not. But I think they do gotta sit back and kind of think of what direction they want to go. Do they want to have a stud defense or a stud offense? It sounds like, I mean, it kind of looks like they're going 50-50. So,
go back. Well, go back to when they won their Super Bowl. What were they? Defense.
Oh, yeah,
Defense
exactly.
heavily, and Peyton Manning wasn't Peyton Manning. What we know, it was a run. Peyton Manning did not win that Super Bowl. It was Von Miller in that defense. So,
no doubt, defense wins titles. No question.
And they have a lot of pieces there, so why not just stick with that and go? And you have a great run. I'm telling you, Philip Lindsay's no scrub. He's a very good running back. Just work on your offensive line, and then you get a great wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy from Alabama.
Yep.
Man, you can do play action. I'm just telling you, just lean on that defense and running game. That's what your identity needs to be. But who knows?
If I'm not mistaken, I know Philip Lindsay's been missing time, but I want to say that he has like 480 some carries so far in his career and still has yet to fumble the ball.
Yes.
It really goes to show for somebody who went undrafted. I mean, the guy's been an absolute stud, definitely a diamond in the rough for the Denver Broncos team. And you talk about, Trey, how some teams really have to run on this running game and everything. So that leads us to our next game. And I'm glad you brought that up because you said Minnesota. And boy, let me tell you, the Cowboys, let's see. Part of why Locke did well last year, he had Cortland Sutton to throw to the ball. He is hurt this year. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, obviously, Cortland Sutton's the obvious number one out there last year. Whenever you bring in Jerry Jeudy, you knew it was going to compete a little bit. I think the addition of Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton would be absolutely disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
I think it'd be gross. I mean, it definitely adds a new element to that offense. You know, you have a little bit more of a passing option, which always makes it easier to spread out the run. But, you know, obviously you can't always account for injuries and everything like that. So, unfortunately for the Broncos, missing Cortland Sutton's definitely going to do some damage to that offense. But let's get back to that game that we were going to. Actually, your two teams between Trey and Brandon went off against each other. Trey's Cowboys and Brandon's Vikings went up against each other today. And, and I tell you what, I don't know if anybody expected Trey's Cowboys to get the dub, but they ended up walking away with it, 31-28. And I tell you, from a statistical standpoint, both teams did very well. Both quarterbacks had 3 passing touchdowns. Both running backs had over 100 rushing yards. Both offenses really performed to a T. But what really comes down to it is that Dallas scored 10 points off of turnovers. And ultimately, that's enough to end the game. Obviously, the score difference only being 3 points. That really comes in handy. And now, between that and between the football team today, there is a 4-team race, all with 3 wins in that NFC East. Isn't that disgusting? Trey, you have the floor. Please tell us your opinions on this Dallas Cowboys team.
Oh, this Dallas Cowboy team?
Okay, give me the game.
No, I got the team. It's the same thing every year with this Dallas Cowboys team. They have the talent in the world. I don't care who your quarterback is, Dalton, Dak Prescott, whatever the case may be, Ezekiel Elliott, that offensive line. Yes, are injured this year. They're missing 4 key players off that offensive line. Only Zach Martin's. He started at right tackle today or left tackle for the first time today in his career. So, but saying all that, their backups were just as good as some teams' starting lineups. So they had depth at that offensive line. And then their defense the beginning of the year was horrible. They couldn't stop their run. Their secondary was young. They have Diggs a first year. They have another corner who's first year. They have no safety help. I always thought they should have went and got Earl Thomas. But getting back to this game, I said today on the pregame show, this would be the game the Dallas Cowboys would win. They look horrible. This would be the team that they win. All Cowboys, and I was right. All Cowboys Nation, including me, because I'm probably drinking the Kool-Aid because I haven't seen this Dallas Cowboy team since never this year, even with Dak Prescott. But what I saw today was I don't know, it's because they had a bye week last week, but a good game plan. They actually stuck with running the football. Mike McCarthy actually stuck to his guns and just ran the football, which I applaud him for because he's known as an air raid guy. But getting back to, if you look at Brandon says it was a turnover. Yeah, even though when Dallas gets turnovers, they're last in the league in turning those turnovers into points. Minnesota is second, but Dallas only scored 13 points off their turnovers this year, and that is astonishingly horrible, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a football guru or anything, but I think that's pretty bad. But capitalizing on those turnovers, that's what I saw a different team this year, or this week. Scoring 10 points. And actually, it should have been 14, but the half was running out, and then Mark McCarthy was afraid to run another play with 5 seconds left, which I don't blame him because you don't know what you're going to get with Andy Dalton, or you could throw an interception or something like that. But I applaud him for taking the points instead of the gamble, but they probably could have got one more play, and it could have been 14. It could have been a lot worse. But what I really loved about this game was the fourth quarter. They could easily here we go again with that defense giving up big runs, giving up big plays. Thielen had a field day with our secondary. Kirk Cousins had a perfect quarterback passer rating. He had over 314 yards with 3 TDs. He only missed 8 passes. One of those a drop from your Rookie of the Year candidate, Jefferson, who always catches that ball, but he wanted to make a big play. He didn't look the ball into his hands. But what I saw from the Dallas Cowboys was fight, and I haven't seen that all year. And I think that the loss, and I'm just spitting, even though they were 2-7 coming into this game, now they're 3-7. I think that loss Philadelphia has had the last 2 weeks has like, you know what? We're only 1 game back. We still got to play the East, and we have an easy schedule compared to these other Eastern teams. Philadelphia still has the Seahawks. They still have the Saints. They still have all these. They have a first place schedule coming up. Dallas. The only tough game they have left is Baltimore. And then they play Washington Thursday. They play Baltimore the following Thursday. Then they play the Cincinnati Bengals, who I thought was going to be a tough matchup without Joe Burrow now. And then you got the Giants and Washington. So this team who started 2-7 could easily get up to 9-7 or 8-8. And if Andy Dalton plays the way he did tonight, hitting Cooper and receivers in stride and not hesitate and actually throwing accurate passes, this Dallas Cowboy team could surprise with the weapons that they have in the wide receiver position. You get Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Ballard running the ball, scored a 45-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. If you get him going, man, this offense can upset it. And then that defense is starting to get a little bit of momentum as well. I think it has a lot to do with I can't say his name, Vayton Landers, whatever his freaking name is. I can never say his name. He's finally getting back and getting healthy because he was on the injured reserve list for the first 4 weeks of the season. So once he's starting to get a little bit healthy, I think that this defense is starting to click a little bit. They're still kind of young in the secondary, but I'm telling you, man, I'm not saying they'll win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying if they get on a little roll here and they get their confidence levels up, and with Andy Dalton being a veteran quarterback that he is, remember, there was no OTAs this year. There was no training camps. I can't emphasize that enough. I don't care if you're a veteran or not. You go into a new team, a new system, and then you get thrown in the wildfire, and then you get concussed, COVID, and all that stuff. It's hard on you. And today you saw with that week off the great preparation that he had, and I think the sky's the limit for him. And who knows, man? But I was very impressed with what I saw with the Dallas Cowboys because I was watching the game with my dad who hates the Dallas Cowboys. I was like, okay, fourth quarter, it's over. Vikings took the lead. The Cowboys are going to give up. They can't stop the run. We go 3-0, whatever the case may be. But they kept fighting, and that's what I wanted. That's what all the Dallas Cowboys team wanted to see was keep fighting. We saw that today. Are
you going to drink the Kool-Aid? We've seen Freddie do it. We've seen Chris do it. Are you willing? Not willing to put your team at the top of the division?
You know what? Come ask me in 2 weeks. I'm being dead serious about this because this division sucks.
Yeah, I mean, at least you can admit
the Giants who lost the first 5 games of the season are now tied for first place, and they should be leading the division. They had the Eagles on the ropes. They lost by 1 point 4 weeks ago. And that's without Barkley. So Jason Garrett's doing a phenomenal job right now with that offense. And the quarterback, I can't remember his name right now.
Danny Dimes.
Yes, him. He's doing a phenomenal job with him right now. But the Giants have a tough schedule too, man. I'm telling you, the Washington Giants and Eagles have a tough. Remember, Dallas has already played all these hard teams at the beginning of the season.
True. They started off, yeah.
And now Dallas. See, that's the benefit of having you get the scheduling making. I mean, it seems like the Eagles always benefited playing these hard games first, and then they get the cupcakes at the end of the season, where Dallas had to play their tough games at the end of the season. This year it's a little bit different. I don't trust Carson Wentz. I said this whenever they paid him. He's way overpaid. He was never the quarterback for that team. I think they should have I'm sorry, Christopher Brown. Nick Foles was that better for that offense than what Carson Wentz is. Carson Wentz is wildly inaccurate. You say what you want to. You pay the guy $133 million. I don't care if you have wide receivers or not. They pay you that money to win ball games. And the last 2 years, you're telling me I used to think that he was better than Dak Prescott. Now you're seeing the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott's the best quarterback in this division. So if you ask me in a couple weeks, if the Cowboys go 2-0 or 1-1 the next 2 weeks, Thanksgiving and the following week after Thanksgiving, I say they win the division because the Eagles are probably going to lose the next 3 or 4 out of 5 games. Giants, I don't trust them with my life. And then Washington, they're inaccurate at quarterback. I mean, Joe Burrow went down today and they barely won 20-9. I mean,
fair enough. All right, Brandon, we'll go to you about your Minnesota Vikings. 430 total yards of offense, but couldn't get it done. Let's hear what you have to say about your team in the purple and gold.
Yeah, this definitely was a costly loss for them. I mean, even though the Packers lost, Bears were off, Lions lost, they could only probably afford to lose one more game. I mean, but they got a couple of tough games coming up. I don't see them making the playoffs, really.
no, there's no way.
Unless there's miracles that happen. But yeah, watching the game, I mean, I think Trey nailed it. The Cowboys were on fire. They were pumped. The Vikings, on the other hand, from what I saw, I didn't see that fire. But I mean, yeah, they put up points, they put up yards. Cook got his. Kirk Cousins, if he plays like this, I think Viking fans would love to have him stick around. But I mean, a couple years ago, the Vikings were in the same boat that Philly was in. They got a backup quarterback that took them to one game away from the Super Bowl. Then they got rid of him, brought in Kirk Cousins with the guaranteed contract, and so. But yeah, I thought this game this morning was going to be a tough game, and possibly if it wasn't for the Sunday night game, probably would have been the game of the week. The way both teams are putting up points and stuff like that. I mean, that might be a stretch, but yeah, I give it up to the Cowboys. I mean, you can't take nothing away. They capitalize on Viking mistakes, and Vikings, I don't think, caused any major turnovers that they capitalized on themselves. So, and I think they got penalized quite a few times that, penalties can kill too, just as much as turnovers. So, yeah, I think this probably put the dagger halfway in for the Vikings season for them making the playoffs.
Which is sad because I'm watching that team. Y'all have weapons all over that field. You have Thielen, who I think just passed Randy Moss as most touchdown passes in a season or something like that. I can't remember what the statistic.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's and then you have Jefferson, you have Cook, and then your backup running back Madison, who can run over people, who's a harder runner than Cook is. You have tight end Rudolph, and then Kirk Cousins had your defense is going to get better. You're young. You're very young. I don't know what's going on with Minnesota. I know they went 1-5. I don't know what happened the first 6 games, but dude, it's frustrating. If I was you, I'll be so frustrated. You have all this, even without Stephon Diggs, bring him out of them. I think that was a bad team. Thielen and Diggs, because they're kind of like the same player. They both want to go deep. They're both playmakers. I think that they both want the ball. I think Thielen was the right choice. I think y'all need to get rid of Diggs. Thielen is a stud. Thielen's going to is probably the top 3 receiver in this league, behind.
Yeah, we're frustrated. I mean, there's a lot of my Viking friends are frustrated.
But going back to your schedule, you say you need to win. You only need to lose 1. I saw 2 games on there. You're going to lose.
Oh yeah,
right away.
No.
You still have Tampa Bay and New Orleans.
Like I said, they can only afford to lose 1 more game, but I see 2 more, so I think the playoffs are done.
Yeah, no, I think for a long time it was going to be either a third NFC West team or the second place team in the NFC North. I think with the Bears' absolute terrible, well, I should say the thing that everybody saw coming, the monumental collapse of the Bears, and then also the Vikings coming up as of late gave a little bit more hope. But I still think 3 NFC West teams are going to find a way to slide into the playoffs there.
The third one is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. How are they going to? Because they haven't been there before. It's a young team. It's a young Murray. It's a young Kingsbury at that as well. Can they keep this high? I mean, they had a good game last Thursday night. That was a heck of a game Thursday night as well. Can you trust them? I mean, because they're wildly inaccurate. They can beat a Buffalo Bill team, then they can go ahead and lose to a Charger team. You know what I mean? It's going to come up down to them, between them and the Bears, I do believe. Bears just don't have can the Bears defense carry them again like they've been doing for the last 30 years, it seems like?
It's going to have to happen.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Because the Bears, I know the Bears, we still have the Packers twice, which is tough. But I know we still have Texans in there. We still have the Jaguars in there. We still see the Lions again. So I mean, there's some winnable games in there. It's just how much of those two Packer losses is going to hurt, and they're going to hurt they're going to hurt quite a bit. But it's going to be tough. So it's just a matter of time. I mean, we're going to see who it is, but I agree with you, Trey. I think it's going to be two teams from the NFC West. I think it's probably going to be the Rams and the Cardinals out there as well, and then whoever ends up in second place in the NFC South, which I think is going to be the Bucs. But that's just my opinion for there. But yeah, no, I don't know if I can see the Bears doing it. As a Bears fan myself, I don't know if I can find a way to pull them into the playoffs. I really don't. The way that the offense is run, the question mark at quarterback, everything like that. I mean, there's just so much question marks with this team. But yeah, going back to Brandon's Vikings, I mean, this was a team that a lot of people speculated to maybe even contend for the division. I saw a lot of people early on putting the Vikings at somewhere around 11-5, 10-6, sometimes even up as high as 12-4. This was a Vikings team that was supposed to be doing monumental things, but I think the big difference here early on was the loss of Kevin Stefanski. I think the loss of their offensive coordinator really kind of hit home a little bit now that he's the head coach over there in Cleveland. And I think finding that identity for the Vikings was tough for the new OC out there, but now I think they're starting to get something underneath their feet. I think the Vikings they're trying to find that identity back again. The defense is playing a lot better. If Kirk Cousins can at least come out and play somewhat competent, this team should have no problem winning games, but especially whenever 33 just says hop on and just carries the whole team with him. But yeah, no, this Vikings team has definitely lived down to expectations, to say the least. But going to the final game of the 4:00 hour, which I thought was by far the most entertaining game, at least for me being a Bears fan, because it's always good to watch the Packers lose. Green Bay was in Indianapolis against the Colts, and into overtime they go. Ultimately won on the foot of Rodrigo Blankenship, 31-34 to the Indianapolis Colts, man. What a game. The Packers were up 14 points at half, and the Colts outscore the Packers 17-3 in the second half to send it to OT. And the Green Bay wins the toss. And that's always the big momentum shift going into overtime. And Green Bay gets the toss on the second play of overtime. A pass out to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the product out of University of South Florida, which is actually my alum, which hurts me to say this. But he catches the ball, no gain, and ends up fumbling the ball, scooped up by DeForest Buckner, which after a couple more yards leads to the field goal by Blankenship. And, man, this was a huge game for the Colts, and I mean huge, especially with the Titans knocking down the Baltimore Ravens. I think this makes even more exciting for Indianapolis. It was one of the best offenses in the NFL versus one of the best defenses in the NFL. Brandon, I'm going to go to you. If you had to pick a winner right now, Tennessee and Indianapolis, who do you have winning that division?
Ooh, God, I would have to go with the Colts. I think their defense is solid. I mean, they proved it today. Tennessee been up and down. I mean, they got a solid team too. That division might come down to the last week. I mean, they're going to be playing for everything.
Trey, what do you think? If you had to pick right now between Colts and the Titans, who do you have as winning the AFC South?
Tennessee, just because they've been there, done that. You don't know what you're going to get from Phillip Rivers. He's an older quarterback. Today, he looks great. He 288 yards, 3 touchdown passes, only had 1 pick. But then some games he's missing people wide open. He can't throw that deep ball like he used to. I will say this: the Colts have a star wide receiver coming in Pittman. That's going to be a stud in this league. If you get him a playmaker, and if you get him the ball and he's a playmaker, then things can happen. That defense is great. But Packers made him look like chalk liver today, scoring over 31 points, and they're down. Gave them 28 points before the half. They gave up 21 points in the second quarter alone. So that the defense is going to have a bad game here and there. But the thing about the Tennessee Titans is, you know what they are, and you can't stop them. I'm sorry. today, Baltimore held Mark Henry to the fourth quarter under 100 yards. Like nothing was running against in the fourth quarter. At the end of the game, he had over 100 yards rushing. You know what, in the play action pass with Tannehill's on his game. They've been there, done that. Mike Vrabel is a beast of a head coach. He's a fun coach to play for. He's not scared of anything. Tennessee was one game away. They were actually 3/4 away from the Super Bowl before the Chiefs knocked them out last year. But I just think that Tennessee just has too much to lose. I think that just because they can run the ball effectively and they can carry as long as Mark Henry stays healthy and Ryan Tannehill ain't turning the ball over, then I give the edge to the Tennessee Titans just on that alone. But the thing that's scaring me about Tennessee is their defense. Their defense is not what it used to be. It's scaring me a little bit. You saw it today. All you got to do is make Jackson a thrower for the Baltimore Ravens. If you stop his run and make him a passer, he's wildly inaccurate. You cannot. I think teams are starting to realize that. I think they finally realized that in the second half of this game, because they were down big in this game and they came back and won. No panic. So that was a big win for them. But just because the Tennessee Titans have been there, done that, or went to the AFC championship game last year, I'm not doubting Mark Henry. He can carry any team on his back, especially when the weather starts getting cold. Give me Mark Henry, because I don't know what I'm getting out of the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know how they're scoring points. I really don't. Phillip Rivers is inaccurate. The run game, they didn't have over 100-yard rusher today. Jared Taylor was their leading rusher with 22 carries and 90 yards. His longest run was only 18 yards. They don't have that consistent running back, and that's what's scaring me a little bit. But if you get Pittman and T.Y. Hilton involved, then maybe, but you have to have a good quarterback. And Phillip Rivers is just wildly inaccurate to me. He's too old. If you ask me, I think this is his last year. I think he's just hanging on for dear life for some reason. I don't know why. I think he should have retired last year. I just think that as the season prolongs and the hits keep getting harder and harder and harder, give me Tennessee. I just trust them more.
I tell you what, I think that this is really going to come down to the offensive play of the Colts, because if Phillip Rivers can stay competent, if he can play decent to where we've seen him play in years past, obviously not like last year. We saw a lot of turnover last year, but previous years, the Phillip Rivers we've grown to know over the years, if he can play like Phillip Rivers, then I think the Colts have this, just because of the Tennessee defensive liability. But right now, it's tough because the Colts are coming off of two pretty big wins. Yes, I know they upset Green Bay, and then I want to say, what was the other? Was it No, it wasn't Baltimore. No, Tennessee. Tennessee, yeah, they actually just upset Tennessee in the divisional game. So they're riding a very hot hand, and they are taking down some pretty big opponents. And the Colts, if I'm not mistaken, Colts ended up a little bit lower in that division last year. I know they're probably going to have a little bit of an easier schedule going forward than the Tennessee Titans, but let's see Chase. I know Chase had said that he thinks the Titans are going to win this division, but he also says right here that he thinks the Ravens are in trouble if they lose next week. I'll get your opinion on that. Trey, you think so? You're going along with that?
Oh, yeah, especially with that stacked AFC right now. I think if the Ravens lose Thursday night, they're out of the divisional race, as our great Nate said that earlier tonight. That's a staggering statistic. They're third place right now in the AFC North, behind the Cleveland Browns. And the Cleveland Browns have no offense for the most part, but you see that run game starting to come. But Cleveland's had a couple bad weeks of bad weather, a couple of big bad rainstorms. But saying that, the AFC is just too – you saw the Las Vegas Raiders lose tonight, but they hung with the defending champion. They beat the Chiefs already once this year, and they should have beat them again tonight. You have Miami coming up. You have all these teams that are, I think, 4 or 5 teams that only have 3 losses. There's zero room for losses right now. And with the loss against Pittsburgh, you have 5 losses. You're telling me Las Vegas is going to lose 2 or 3 more games? You're telling me Tennessee is going to lose 2 or 3 more games? Colts are going to lose 2 or 3 more games? They're in trouble. They really are in trouble. And I think teams are finally starting to realize how to play the Baltimore Ravens, and you're starting to see that. They finally got tape on Lamar Jackson and how to contain them. And I think the Tennessee Titans showed that last year in the playoffs and how you can handle them and how you can beat them. And they're just doing it right now. Lamar Jackson cannot throw the ball, and Mark Ingram is injured injured throughout his whole this whole season. And who are your playmakers on that team besides a tight end named Andrews who catches all your touchdown passes? But man, they're in trouble. I'm just saying that because I really don't like Baltimore, but they really are in trouble if you're third place right now with only 5 games to go left in the season.
Let's hit up this question real quick before we move on to Sunday Night Football. Will the Steelers go undefeated? The Bills and Colts are, in Mark Keller's opinion, the only 2 teams really standing in their way. Brandon, I'm going to go to you first. What do you see the Steelers going undefeated, being another 16-0 team?
I can see it. I think, they got the talent to do it, but if they got stuff locked up, week 15 going into, or week 16 going to 17, they might rest some players, but again, they might want to go 16-0. I mean, I know the goal is to win that trophy, so trying to stay healthy is a big thing too, but I mean, if it plays out the way that it looks like it's going to be 16-0 top seed. They're going, in the driver's seat to go to the Super Bowl.
Trey, do you see this team going 16-0?
The Steelers are kind of a funny team because earlier this year, I think 2 weeks ago, because my dad's a big Steeler fan, we were joking. I was giving him a hard time. I go, yeah, y'all are 7-0, but y'all easily could be 0-7 because all those one possession games that y'all are in. Besides Cleveland Browns, they should have won 1 game, but they should have lost to Dallas. They should have lost to they could have lost to Baltimore the first game. But I'm telling you, if they beat the Baltimore Ravens this Thursday night, and then they beat Buffalo in 2 weeks, then yes, I can see this team going undefeated. And going to Brandon's point, you're telling me that they're going to rest players when they have history on them? What better way to go for a team to beat the 72 Dolphins going undefeated than the franchise NFL team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, going 16-0, going to the Super Bowl and winning and one-upping the New England Patriots, who they actually hate. You're telling me that they're not going to go for it? Mike Tomlin, his ego and his brain trust is not going to be like – I mean, they're not resting anybody. They might rest like an offensive lineman here and there, but they're not. They're going for it. I'm telling you. That's the Steeler mentality. Even if they do rest players, man, that defense is going to carry them.
Yeah, Trey, I could see your points. You make valid ones, and – yeah, you want to get rid of that, 72 Dolphins. And maybe just the games change, but I know in the past when people have gone, 15-0 going to week 16, 17, they've always rested players. I can see Tomlin definitely putting the throttle to the metal and wanting to go undefeated. I mean, there's nothing better than doing that. I get it.
But to answer your question, no, I don't think they're going to go undefeated. I think the Bills are going to get them in 2 weeks. That Bills defense knows that Bills defense is for real. I think they can stop the receivers on the outside with Claypool, whatever his name is, Yeah, I can't. Sorry, guys. Like my 6th show in 4 days. I'm tired. Yeah, they have the weapons on defense, and then you have Trayvon Diggs, running back, and Allen, the quarterback, is playing out of his mind right now for what he has. The Bills, I think they have the personnel to beat the Steelers, and I think they're going to do it. I think the Steelers, because they're going to have a tough game against Baltimore this Thursday, and then they get 10 days off. They're going to play a crappy Washington team, and then their ego is going to be like, oh, we're 13-0, and I think that's when Buffalo's going to catch them because Buffalo's going to have more to play for. And I think Pittsburgh's already going to have division locked up, and I think that the 16-0 is starting to get in their heads, and I think Buffalo's going to catch them right at the right moment.
Yeah, I was looking at the one team I thought that was going to be able to pull it off would be Indianapolis, just because of Indianapolis's defensive ability, not to mention that they play them week 16 whenever it's going to be a very important crunch time for Indianapolis. I know Indianapolis is going to be trying to fire on all cylinders, but we can't take away from Pittsburgh either because right now, I mean, you can't take anything away from Kansas City. They're still fighting for a number 1 seed.
Exactly.
Kansas 1 game away, the Kansas City is only a 1-loss team. So it is one of those things to where, can they pull it off? It's going to be interesting to see because, I mean, like Trey said, they've played in a lot of games in which they shouldn't have won. They've shown dominance in a lot of games, but they've also they've been kind of question marks in some games as well. Like today, obviously today they showed dominance, but you're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. You better show dominance. So
with no quarterback.
Yeah, you're playing them with their backup quarterback, which lets you know. But I mean, they almost lost to a fourth string quarterback in Dallas. So I mean, it's one of those, it goes both ways. You got to look at it either way. So Nate says they're going to lose the Ravens, Bills, and Colts. They're going to go 13-3. That's going to be big. I've also seen quite a lot of Pittsburgh love in the comments today. I know I've seen a couple of Pittsburgh fans, so maybe we'll see exactly. But let's get to what I think may have had game of the year implications on it. This game, man, if you got to watch it, you were lucky, because this game was back and forth, and I literally mean it. There was no set of scoring in which a team scored back-to-back without the other team scoring. Back-to-back, fire on all cylinders. Both offenses came down to it. The Raiders take the lead at the very end, and a 2-minute drill for the Chiefs takes the lead. Ultimately, the Chiefs are able to walk away with the victory, and man, this game was nuts. I tell you what, final score on that one, what was it, 35-31. 35-31. Man, crazy game for Kansas City, a big win for them. But man, is this a big win for Kansas City, or is this a bigger game for the Oakland or the Vegas Raiders to play in that game the way that they did? I know they already upset them earlier in the season. They're the one blemish on the Kansas City record. But Trey, I'll get your opinion on this one. What team were you more impressed by today?
Oh, the Raiders. The reason I'm saying that, they already beat them once, but this week was even more difficult. They didn't practice all week. They had all their defensive line was on COVID watch, on the COVID list. And without them having practice, and the Chiefs are coming off a bye week, where Andy Reid has only lost 6 times in his whole career after a bye week, that's a astonishing feat in itself. But, man, I was wrong about the Las Vegas Raiders. I thought Chiefs were going to come in, score 21 unanswered points against them because of the way the Raiders beat them and danced around in their parking lot and thought they won the Super Bowl last time they played. I thought the Chiefs were just going to – but, man – Derek Carr is playing lights out right there. Something's just clicked in this offense with him. I didn't see this the last 3 or 4 years with them. You have a great running back in Jacobs. You have a powerful offensive line. If you have Nelson Aguilar actually catching passes, and I know he had one big drop tonight, but he always had that. But if he starts catching balls, then you have a great tight end in Waller. And then you have Renfro in the slot who can make big plays. Reminds me of Cole Beasley from Dallas. He can get you those tiny little yards that you need as well. But I'm impressed with what John Gruden's doing with this Raider team. I really am. That defense has that defense lining up right now. That defense is playing, even though they gave up 35. But who's not going to give over 30 points to Patrick Mahomes and that guy? Man, that guy is a stud in that offense. That they did a pretty good job of containing him for the first 3 quarters. But I tell you what, the key difference was in this game was that first drive out of the second half when they almost took the whole stinking quarter. I think, what was it, 16 plays, 8-minute drive, all the way 92 yards. That was a backbreaker for your defense. I mean, your defense is going to get tired. So the Chiefs have many ways to beat you, but this Raider team, I'm telling you, they're going to be a tough out for someone in the playoffs. They have a defense that can fly around. They're not afraid to hit anybody. It kind of reminds me of the old Raiders, that the little smack talk. They like Abrams, that safety loves hitting people. You saw that today. But, yeah, you have that great running back in Jacobs, tight end Waller, who came out of nowhere. And then you also have Henry Ruggs III. If you get him going on the offense, man, John Gruden's going to have a field day with this team. As long as they just stay confident and listen to John Gruden, I'm telling you, Raiders, don't count them out as upsetting a couple teams in the playoffs. I'm very impressed with what the Las Vegas Raiders are doing right now.
Yeah, I got the drive details on that drive you were talking about. Coming right back from half, Kansas City scores a touchdown on a 16-play, 93-yard, 8.5-minute drive. That is absolutely lengthy, to say the least. That takes a lot of time out of one drive. 93 yards, too, really kind of shows Kansas City's versatility to get down the field. But we already know who Kansas City is. It really is trying to figure out the identity of this Raiders team, and this Raiders team has been absolutely nuts. And their schedule, boy, it gets easy going forward.
Yes.
I mean, it gets soft. Whenever we're looking at the rest of the Raiders schedule, they take on the Jets, they take on the Falcons next week. Then they go into the Jets, then Indianapolis, the Chargers, Dolphins, and Broncos. Other than Indianapolis, is there a close game in there? Or is it looking like a Raiders runaway season almost? I'll go to you, Brandon. What do you think about the future with this schedule for the Vegas Raiders?
Yeah, I think they're going to run away. I mean, the Colts might be their toughest fight, but the way the Raiders were playing, I mean, I think Trey hit every single point possible. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, yeah, if they would have beat Chiefs today, I mean, put them in the driver's seat. I was looking at some of the comments. I do got to agree, or actually make a comment. Is Pat Mahomes going to be a guy that we're going to be talking about where you got to leave him less than, a minute on the clock to march on down the field? I mean,
I say less than 20.
Yeah, you have to. If there's a minute on that clock, Pat Mahomes can make you pay. I mean, we've seen
it. Rodgers done it. I mean, we can name off.
Yeah, but Patrick Mahomes is a different beast than Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what anyone tells me.
I totally agree.
Say that to Freddie.
I will say that to Freddie,
We're
man.
going to be talking about how much time do you have to give Pat Mahomes so he can't march down the field? I mean,
1 second. That's the question.
The best way to prove that you can beat Pat Mahomes is to end the game with the ball in your hand. That is by far what we got shown today. Because man, the Raiders had a chance. They put up that touchdown right at the end. They took the lead, and you're thinking, holy cow, they're going to do it again. They're going to upset them again. But and then you realize who number 15 is over there in red, because he came out and just. I remember we were sitting there watching it live here in the group in the chat before we got on live, and all of a sudden they're on the opposite side of the field. They're in the red zone about 2 plays later. So it's one of those things to where you look at it, you're like, holy cow, how'd they get down there so quick? But yeah, no, the Chiefs, man, Patrick Mahomes obviously is a bad man. I mean, to say the least.
I will say this, going back to their schedule, the Raiders schedule. Mm-hmm. Don't put I know Los Angeles Chargers record is 3-7, but they play each team hard. And with Justin Herbert, the way he's playing, and it's a division. I'm telling you, those divisional games in the AFC West, they mean something. You can throw records out the window at that division.
That first time they played, too, the Chargers were in the red zone and almost beat them right at the end of the game.
And then also Miami Dolphins, that's going to probably come down to a playoff positioning spot as well. So they got a little bit of tougher schedule, but it's a lot easier than what the Chiefs have. Good gosh.
I made the prediction, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and I went out on the limb and I said that the Vegas Raiders were going to end 12-4, and I'm going to stick by it. I think that this Chiefs loss was the one loss they had left, and I think John Gruden, as you mentioned, is doing a hell of a thing with that Raiders team over there. Because we've seen the way they draft. We've seen all this other stuff with everything. And you're sitting there watching at home and you're like, what are they doing? You're sitting there, at least with certain picks, you were sitting there thinking like, there's better players at the position. If you're going to go for this, why don't you go for this guy? And you always had questions about the silver and black out there. But now they're really starting to put it together. They're really starting to find out who they are. And you talked about Derek Carr playing well. I think that's one of the more underrated names this year. Mm-hmm. Today he went 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. That puts his season total at 18 touchdowns to 3 picks. I mean, he is being super efficient with the ball. And I want to say going into this week, the only 2 quarterbacks with a better touchdown to interception ratio were Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. And that lets you know the kind of efficiency that he's playing with out there in Vegas. And that can't go underlooked, because he's doing great things out there for Oakland or for Vegas.
I will say this too. When John Gruden took the Raider job, look who he hired as his general manager.
Mike Mayock.
Yes, that guy knows his football. Listening on NBC, college football, and everything like that, he knows the players. There's better, like you said, there's better position players out there, but he found the right pieces for this team that's going to benefit his team better than those other players were, and you're seeing that right now.
Yeah, just think a few years ago, everybody was questioning why he moved traded Mac out of there. Look where they're at.
I'm still questioning that. I'm sorry. I'm still questioning that.
I think we all are. But
you have a generational pass rusher. Obviously, you'd like to keep him. But I tell you what, they got a lot of return at least. I mean, definitely got the return.
Exactly.
And Bears have nothing yet to show of it other than a divisional title that got them nowhere. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, yeah, Khalil Mack, generational talent, but I mean, what are the Bears doing right now? So we'll see exactly where they end up compared to the Vegas Raiders, and I think everybody kind of expects the Raiders to be in a better spot here soon. But let's look forward. Let's wrap it up here. Let's look forward to the game tomorrow night. The Los Angeles Rams will be going into Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs. Let's get a prediction for you, Brandon. I'm going to start with you first. Who do you have between the Rams and the Bucs?
The refs? No. God. The Bucs are at home, right?
Yes.
Okay. As much as I hate to say it, I gotta go with Brady. I gotta go Brady and the Bucs. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's just gonna be like all the other games this week. I think they're gonna be tough fought battles. But I'm gonna go with Brady and the Bucs by 5.
Okay. We'll go to you, Trey. What are you thinking for this Rams-Bucs game?
Oh man, it's gonna be a good game. I'll tell you what. In the past, these Monday night games have been snoozers. I'm like, why are we watching these Monday? This year's Monday night games have been great to watch.
Yes,
you had some elite talent teams on this Monday night schedule, and I applaud the NFL for doing it. But man, this game it's gonna be a good game. It all depends on what the front four do for the Los Angeles Rams. If Aaron Donald and those boys get to the pass rush without blitzing, get to Tom Brady and hit him in the mouth 3 or 4 times in the first quarter or first half, and then you have Tom Brady thinking about it a little bit, then we all see how Tom Brady's probably one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. I'm not dismissing that. But when you hit him, he's known for it. Once you pop him in the mouth, he starts fidgeting, starts being wildly inaccurate and starting getting the ball out faster than what he should have. Now, can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hold Aaron Donald? And I think I'm going to have to say yes, just because they saw what the New Orleans Saints did. The Buccaneers want that not the number 1 seed, but they want to win that division. They don't want to go on the road at any time in this playoff. Tom Brady in the playoffs does not do good on the road, especially. But it also depends on what the Rams are going to do as well with Jared Goff. We all see with Jared Goff, if he's clicking all cylinders in the first quarter, he's lights out MVP. But if something goes wrong, one thing goes wrong, he's horrible the rest of the game. He is. McVay's got to have an excellent game plan. But I think the Buccaneers are just way too much to handle for the Rams. Being at home, I think, is going to benefit them a little bit. And I still think that the Buccaneers have something to prove after that New Orleans Saints loss. I think after getting demolished like they did, the way the Saints just demolished them, the front four for the New Orleans Saints just got to Brady all night long. I think that Tom Brady and the Bruce Arians have something to prove, and I think that you're going to see Antonio Brown in the lineup a lot more. I think you're going to see Evans go deep. I think you're going to see that. I think the running game is going to be phenomenal. And then I think that defense is going to show up, and I think they're going to shut down the wide receivers that the Rams have in Kupp and them boys. And Reynolds. So I hope it's a tight game because I don't want to stay up late for no reason. But I do have the Buccaneers. We're probably winning this game. I'm 34-31. It's going to be close, but I think the Buccaneers will go ahead and snatch a victory away from the Rams.
I saw a lot of Bucs comments down there in the comment section. I see everybody's kind of rooting for Tampa Bay. I see both of you have said Tampa Bay. I'm going to be the lone wolf. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams, and this really hurts my stomach because I am the biggest Jared Goff hater in the world. I mean, me and Jared Goff do not get along. We've never met, but I can promise you he wouldn't like me. I can promise you. I can promise you right now, him and I could not sit down and have a beer together. But I tell you what, man, I trust this front four of the Rams a little bit more than I trust the Bucs offensive line. And whenever it comes down to the interior of the Bucs offensive line, that's definitely their strong point. But whenever it looks at the tackle spot with Donovan Smith and whoever they want to put out at right tackle, they are soft, and they are going to they're going to have to do what every other team does, and that's put at least 2 people on Aaron Donald, and that's going to take away 2 of your best blockers right there just on Aaron Donald alone. And they have enough pieces such as Leonard Floyd, Michael Brockers, and company to get to Tom Brady. And like Trey said, once he gets punched in the mouth a couple times, man, I've seen him slam his helmet more this season than I have his whole career. I mean, I've seen him really get his emotions are really getting ahead of him, especially whenever pressure's getting to him. I've seen him yell at those offensive linemen. I've seen him do all types of stuff on the sideline for Tampa Bay, and I just don't know if I trust it enough. And so both teams are obviously playing for I know I lived in Tampa, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not a Bucs fan. I don't care. Not a Brady fan, whatever. Brady's a great quarterback, but I hate golf, but I like Aaron Donald and I like that defense. Leonard Floyd's a former Bear. I'm going to go with that. So I like the Rams in this one. I really do. I just feel like the Rams, obviously both teams have a ton to play for. I mean, both teams are so much in contention. Both teams are both playing for their division as well as wild card spots. I mean, this is a very important game whenever you're looking at it. Very important. But I just think that the defense of the Rams is going to do just enough to hold them off. And whenever I'm looking at a score, I'm thinking somewhere around 28-24. I think it'll be a lower scoring game whenever it comes to that. If the Rams are going to find a way to win, I don't think the Bucs are going to be able to put up 28 or more, and the Rams still be able to win this game because I don't trust Goff enough. But I'm going to put their offensive ceiling at 28 points, and the Bucs are just going to have to find some way to score more than that. So, but yeah, that brings us to the end of the post-game show for tonight. For Trey and for Brandon, I want to say thank you for joining us again on the ASAP Network, and we'll catch y'all again tomorrow. Y'all take it easy.
Have a good night.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so time for laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.